Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to AusLit 101, where we're still in the non-fiction section, but we're nearly ending. We're nearly done with the non-fiction section, and because today we're going to be talking about World War One book recommendations. I'm also going to do World War Two that will come out later, and that's going to be the end of non-fiction. Then we'll move on to fiction or whatever. But I feel like it's important to talk about, give some recommendations about the World War books related to Australia because it's such a turning point for this country, and it we don't get talked about as much as a lot of other countries do. Especially, like, we have our moments, whether it's Australia and Japan, or in World War One's case Gallipoli, but we've done a lot more besides that. And I feel like I have some books that kind of talk about it, but it is a hard area to find books about because they kind of tend to stick to their niche. And yeah, I still, looking at this list, kind of wish we had a big, 800 page or 1000 page, 2 volume, whatever, big complete history of the world wars. We do, and I will talk about that later, but I'll give you some context about Australia during World War One. So we were still part of the British Empire, of course. We'd only been federalized only, 13 years before World War One started, and on the 4th of August 1914 we joined in. And it's interesting when we look at the population at the time, because our population was just roughly under 5 million people, and nearly 417,000 men enlisted at the time, which was nearly 10% of our population. And during the war, over 60,000 soldiers died, and another 156,000 were wounded or taken prisoner. And so that's just some context. Australia's first major action in World War Two was landing in Gallipoli Peninsula, in Turkey, on the 25th of April 1915. This was to take control of the Ottoman capital so the Allied ships could pass through the Black Sea. That was pretty much our job, to make it easier for England, pretty much. And pretty much when we look at the Gallipoli, it was a failure pretty much. After 8 months of trying to siege the Pennsylvania, it just didn't happen. Over 8,000 soldiers died. The Anzacs, the Australian New Zealand Army Corps, ended up retreating in the night. But even as time passed, they've been honoured for their bravery and courage in the passing years. But that's like the big main event everyone talks about because it's such a um, iconic moment, especially when you talk about the poppy flowers, and everything around that. But also, we were involved in the Western Front as well. As Australian soldiers moved into Germany and France, we were also key players in the Hundred-Day offense, where we were involved again more in the Ottoman Empire in like Egypt and Palestine, Syria, and we helped capture Bathsheba and Damascus. I can't say her name. Damascus. We also were a part of that as well, but mostly our big thing is Gallipoli, and so I do have a lot of recommendations on that. Again, let's start. So, there's one book I want to talk about, or a series, and it is the official history of the Australia at War, of 1914 to 1918. This was edited by and created by, written, whatever, by C.E.W. Bean. And this is a complete archival history of Australia during World War One, and it is not in print at all. I've only ever read snippets of it. It's more academic, and where is the abridged, trade paperback? Where is that? It's literally the most comprehensive account of Australia in the World War One, and why isn't it available for everyone? That's my big question. I'm putting it out there just to say this is, an official history. We don't have much of that at all. Why not put probably the most comprehensive volume out there as an accessible trade paperback, or just ebook it? Like, literally just put it as an EPUB or PDF or literally anything else besides just not releasing it at all and leaving it to dusty hardcovers and everything that are so expensive. So that's the one thing I want to put out there. I do have a couple books here. There is no major big 1 volume history. There's one that I would actually recommend now, and that is The Great War by Les I can't say that name. Carlton or whatever. This is Australia, a great narrative history of Australia in the World War. It's actually signed by him, which is pretty cool. I just got this at an op shop. It's not as fact driven as I want my World War II nonfiction to be for a recommendation. It is more storytelling and through soldiers' perspectives and letters. Again, it's more narrative and actual. Here's the facts. Here's what happened, which I kind of want a bit more. But this is a lovely place to start. It's big, of course. It's massive, big bibliography. It's something that I would love to spend some time and go through the bibliography and pick out like the actual like non-fiction books that Les used and create like a TBI out of that or something. But this is if you want like an overall Australia during World War One. And so I'd put that one there. And again, I don't own some of these. I'm also going to recommend Inferno by Phillip Bradley. This is the account of Australia in the Western Front. Again, a lot of first-hand accounts. Really readable and accessible, just like the book I mentioned before. Really lovely. And let's get to the Gallipoli section because there is a couple books I want to talk about here. So again, I'm going to talk about Les again. This is his account on Gallipoli here. Very lovely as well, again. But if you want something that's a bit more facts-based, a bit more meaty, I think a lovely account of Gallipoli this is a classic in and of its own right now, but it's Alan Moorehead's Gallipoli. This is more just straight to the facts, a lot of photos, a lot of like who's who and everything, lovely detailed. It is a bit dense at times, but I just find it incredibly interesting. If you want to do the book on Gallipoli, I would honestly say pick up this one if you want more of the facts and what happened. But there's also some more I can recommend. I'd also chuck in as my last recommendation for Australia during World War One. Again, you can also do like soldier letters and poetry. We had a bit of that too, as well. But I'm just gonna stick to some like the basic. Just if you want to do like 3 or 4 of them, pretty much. And the other Gallipoli book I'd recommend is Gallipoli by Peter Hart as well. This is again another modern classic of its own right. A lovely narrative history of Gallipoli, a lot of good photos too to get a feel for what was going on. This and Alan Moorehead's Gallipoli. If you pick those two up, you're fine. You're set for Gallipoli pretty much. And so those are some of the books I'd recommend if you want to learn about Australia during World War One. Again, we didn't play the biggest role, but we still done stuff. We still were there pretty much. And let me know in the comments any more recommendations you would recommend about Australia during World War One. There's a lot more. You could do like social histories and a lot of that stuff. But I will save that for World War Two because I think a lot more happened to us in World War Two than World War One. But again, why isn't the official history of Australia in World War One by C.E.W. being not in print? Like it's literally the big accounts, everything mashed together, and that would be my honest number one recommendation. Just because it's concise, complete, and I really wish someone would bring it back out of obscurity because it probably is the best account of World War One from Australia's perspective. But yeah, let me know what you think of my recommendations, and thank you so much for watching BookTube, and I will see you next time.